build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance that's bit in his eye. Well, they gave me balls, but I can see between to a dusty yard and long gone green. We call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I drown my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as a judge.
Hello everybody, welcome to Shortbangers. I'm Matty. This is episode 15. Tonight I'm joined by John. How are you doing, Sean?
Aye, not bad. Had a busy day, hoofing away some rubbish for my windows getting replaced. But it's been a bit weird because I've got exhibit lyrics stuck in my head. And I have done since I woke up first thing this morning.
What are you replacing your windows with?
Windows.
Sorry, it's a bit fucking dull.
Windows and French doors, actually. Windows and French doors. Well,
Nice
just one set of French doors because there's no point having French doors 2 floors up.
That's a good point. Also got Brian on. Brian, how you doing?
The words of the famous philosopher Ronan Keating, life is a roller coaster, baby.
And why is that then?
It's twists and turns, isn't it?
Ups and downs. The long fucking queues. And
How are
vomit at the
you?
end.
How are you, Matthew? You're sitting in a car park. Tell us why.
Dogging. No. That's the standard answer, isn't it? If anybody who's caught in a car park. Now, I'm in Glenrothes at the moment, and sympathy for that. Josh has got goalkeeper coaching, so he's now graduated from being coached to being the coach. So on a Friday night, he's up here for 2 hours, and because he's not yet driving, my lot on a Friday night is to sit in a fucking car park, watching from afar as he coaches kids how to be goalkeepers. So,
Have you taken him out on any driving lessons? Were you yet?
no, funny thing this, right? I was going to, and then I went to add him my insurance in the car, right? So, car, I think when I bought it, so I've got a Nissan Qashqai, right? Obviously nothing fancy. It's not worth that much. I went to add him on, and it added £4,000 onto the car insurance to get him added on. So I went, nah, fuck that. So he's now on a waiting list for driving lessons. So I think he should be getting them soon, and it'll be a good day when that happens. I didn't really want to risk taking him out without insurance for obvious reasons. Anyway, so that's why I'm in a car park. It's fucking cold as well. Got a big jacket on, and it's not really doing the trick. So, I might turn blue partway through this podcast.
You do have you've got a wee area of the Blair Witch Project about you now. I'm just waiting for the dribble coming out your nose onto the screen.
I'm illuminated by the car light. Look, fairly surreal. Right, that's enough of this nonsense. We better get some questions in. So we're going to get the timer started, 20 minutes on the clock. As usual, instead of opening my timer, I've opened my fucking calculator. It's handy. Everybody do a sum over here? No, good. Right, so 20 minutes on the clock. First question we've got is from Tom Fairney. He says, have you ever been naked in public? When, where and why? John, you can kick us off for that one.
Aye, go to Brian now, because I reckon he's probably got more readily available memories of being naked in public.
More recent relevant answers.
I've got my head in my hands. The immediate one springs to mind. Well, first of all, the answer is yes. I've been on a beach in Benidorm where I was making gentle love to a woman who was stacked up, probably on about, I'm 6'4", stacked up on a pile of maybe about 8, 9, 10 sun loungers, and I was going at it like a pneumatic drill, and I unceremoniously received a tap on the shoulder from the local policeman, which was a bit rude of him.
Did he want to tell you off or join in?
My Spanish isn't that great, and I couldn't really hear what he was saying because I left it. Legs akimbo, propped up on these plastic sun loungers. For the holiday avoiding her, by all means possible.
Her and the old Bill.
Pretty much.
What about you, John?
I don't think I've got anything to top that. The one story about me being naked when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I just absconded for the house in the scud, and I had to be brought back up the road by one of the local shopkeepers.
Nice one. Was he known to you at that point, or did he recognise you in your naked form or anything like that? There's nothing you want to be telling us?
I'm not sure what you're trying to suggest.
Well, can you trust shopkeepers? That's the question.
Absolutely. There was there was no fiddling took place. He was an honest shopkeeper.
Good. What shop was it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. It was
Shite story if you've not got the details, John. We've talked about this before.
it was when I stayed in Pilton Avenue, and it was just, I don't know if you know the area. So I went, it's kind of, I suppose the shops are just basically at the foot of Pilton Avenue. And we left when I was like 5-year-old, so apologies if I'm scant on the details.
I actually can't think of an occasion where I've been naked in public. That's quite boring, isn't it? I do have a mate though who, on a work, down for a sports day. So it was when I worked for HSBC, and every year they'd have a sports day down in England. So the buses all down, put us up in a hotel, and then we'd come up the next again day. And obviously, folk get hammered, and he'd got hammered and got up in the middle of the night to go for a piss, bollock naked, came back to his room, got in the bed. Next thing, somebody's giving him a nudge, saying, "Get out of my fucking room," and he argued blind with this person that it was his room. Obviously, he's gone back to the wrong room, and I went to go fight with this boy, and bollock naked, until we kind of had to look around and realise that none of the stuff in the room was his. And then I had to walk his shame back along the corridor to get to his room. So that was my best man as well, setting high standards. Right, next question. What's the most expensive thing you've stolen?
Ooh.
John, the fact you having to think about this tells me you've probably got a good answer to this.
I don't know. Like, I did actually used to be a bit of a thief up until I was about maybe 15.
36.
Fuck. Probably like a wee. Not that I was like a master criminal or anything. It was just like stuff at the shops and that. But I remember the thing is, like, it was always shit that I never needed or wanted. It was just like, I'm just going to have that. So it was just like a wee. It was like a wee sort of like diary notebook filofax thing. It was absolute shit. I had no need for it when I was like, I must have been about 13 or something at the time.
So you, Brian?
Well, inadvertently, I suppose, I ordered 3 pairs of jeans probably about 6 months ago, and it was Hermes that were the courier, which anyone who's ever got a notification from the online shop you bought something from, and then you get the email saying, good news, Hermes have got your parcel.
Aye,
that's
not
never
good
ever
news.
good news, because it's either lost or it just over the hedge.
We've left it in a safe place, have you, fuck?
It's under your doormat, but you've actually ordered like a rocking horse. I received these 3 pairs of jeans about 3 days after I was meant to get them. About 4 or 5 days after that, I received another parcel from Hermes, and it was another 3 pairs of jeans. And I kept them.
It is.
An expensive steal. I probably should have phoned up and said, you've made an ass of this, but I didn't.
Does that count as theft if you've just... I don't know. I don't know what the definition is. Like, if you've kept something that isn't yours. Because I had a similar situation, albeit it was with a large tub of peanut butter. And it was delivered downstairs, and of course I've gone to Amazon to say, where's my peanut butter? And they said, oh, it was delivered. I was like, well, I've not got it. So they said, right, what we'll do is we'll send you another one. And sure enough, I've come home after getting the message to say that it's been delivered, that it's not there. So and they were saying, right, we'll just cancel your order. So I've ended up like hunting up and down the stair in the block of flats that I lived in, and sure enough, they've delivered it to a door downstairs, and I've got fucking about 15 kilograms of peanut butter. I don't care what to do with, and I've got my money back as well. Is that theft?
Nah, that's accidental
I accidentally
acquired.
gaining possession.
Aye, I don't think that's theft's a deliberate act, isn't it? It's like if you've meant to do it, that's deliberate. I would when I worked at McDonald's. This is probably I'm guessing nobody that ever worked beside. Well, actually, one person, Mark Cochran, who listens, he worked beside me at McDonald's. But I think generally I'm quite safe to tell this story now because it was a long, long time ago. But we used to have, do you know the drive-through pod at McDonald's? I worked at the one at Meadowbank, and it looked like a kind of shitey Star Wars droid, the one there, kind of square, and the top of it came off. And we had kind of me and this other guy, who I won't name, had planned for a long time to just nick the drive-through pod, just take the top off it one night. You know, if we're passing the restaurant when we were steaming, and so we did that. We stole the drive-through. I was fucking hammered when I did it, to be fair, and we kind of stashed it down a wee lane at the back of the restaurant opposite Meadowbank. And the next day, I remember my cousins came to pick me up. We were going to Rugby Park to watch the Hibs, and we'll get breakfast on the way, go to the drive-through, and we got there, was just a big fucking black bag over it, and the manager was there fucking digging about where's this drive-through, and I'm sure every cunt Kent it was us that did it because we talked about it for ages, but we got hauled in for interviews about it and kind of fact finds and all the rest of it, and it was in the days before mobile phones, so we had to use the house phone to kind of get our stories straight and things like that. So when they asked us about it, we had a kind of bona fide excuse for where we were and why it wasn't us. But I returned it a while later. Did also see one night they used to have a big plastic ice cream cone outside the restaurant, and if you work late for McDonald's at past midnight, they get you a taxi home. And one of the other managers, he stayed on Campus Nevin Street, which is just opposite the restaurant, and I stayed up at New Craig Hall. So we dropped him off first, and as we came back out of his street in this taxi, I saw a guy running up the road with the ice cream cone. And the taxi driver goes, "Is that yours?" I was going, "I think it is." But the best thing was he had a mate who obviously got the short straw, was trying to run away with the sand-filled base from it. And he was like he was fucking miles behind. I'm sure they sent a ransom note in and everything to kind of try and elicit money to get it back. It was in the Daily Record and everything. Anyway, so McDonald's drive-through was probably the most expensive thing that I've stolen, although I did return it undamaged.
I'll share it with you separately, but I've just remembered a couple of things I nicked when I was older and steaming in similar circumstances.
Excellent. Right, next question then comes from Ron Burgundy. He says, if Anne Budge and Mercer had a kid, would it look like A, Steve Fulton, B, Merricks, C, Brian, or D, David Odds?
Who is it? Anne Budge and who else?
Wallace Mercer.
Oh.
It's not going to be a brawler-looking bear anyway, is it?
It's going to be a fair hair child, isn't it? Because of the pair of them.
Aye.
It's going to be like Gary Locke could legitimately be the son of those two.
I will go for option E then, Gary Locke. Right, we'll take that. David Loudon, have you ever got a bite from an insult hurled at a professional football player? He says, Tommy Turner told me to fuck off when we ironically cheered him booting the ball into his own net after Hibs scored against St Mirren at Love Street. So, you ever shouted at a player and got a response?
One of my favourites is when my big mate Sandy, it was on Derek Riordan's return to Easter Road after signing for Celtic, and you know how he had his song and there was this song about Rudy Scatchell.
Yeah.
So to the same tune, my mate started singing Derek Riordan is a fucking substitute. I didn't get a reaction from him though. Another one was, remember there was the song for the Hearts fans, "Oh the Highbees are gay."
Yep.
So Hibs fans started singing that back about Paul Hartley, and I just remember the old East Terracing during the derby, singing at Paul Hartley constantly. It must have been going on for, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 minutes. It was constant. And finally he reacted and he turned round and he just went, "Fuck off, you bunch of fucking cunts."
I don't think I've ever had a player react to me when I've shouted anything at them. I tend not to shout that much. There was one game where what was a fullback for Hearts called McHattie. I think the season they got relegated, and we had a seat in the kind of lower west at the time, and he was on our side playing for them. And I think I pretty much mercilessly and relentlessly shouted at him the whole half that he was down our side, and mostly it was around the kind of theme of "You're the reason your team's going down. You're so shite." But he never took the bait from it, which is unfortunate. What about you, Brian?
I'm just trying to get my head around the fact that somebody's asked the question if you've ever said something to a footballer and they've reacted, and you both gave us a story about shouting abuse at a footballer, and then finished off by saying they never reacted.
They didn't dare him.
It's content, just content.
You've went from context in one podcast and now content. No, I don't think I've ever had a reaction because they probably wouldn't be able to hear me from my house.
You need to go to the games to be heard.
Right.
Right, Kunster said, if Hearts get relegated and Edinburgh City come up, are we all going to the derby in the City end next season en masse just for the piss take? Aye, probably. Right, next one. Kaiser Soze, if there was an anti-pish vaccine, what Hibs player, past or present, are you jagging first?
Ross Chisholm.
You didn't like Ross Chisholm at all, do you?
No, I was a big fan. Listen, I was a big fan of Ross Chisholm. I was a big fan in as much as I will always, always, always back the underdog, and he was the biggest underdog, perhaps, at Easter Road ever.
What breed of dog do you think he'd be?
He'd be like,
It's going to be a pointer. Do you know, like one of these?
How did I not see that coming?
I've not set you up for it. I thought George bound to jump in with this one, but anyway,
no, I was thinking he was going to be like a wee handbag dog or something.
Oh, that famous breed.
Aye.
The handbag dog. Brian?
Alan O'Brien.
That's a good shout, actually.
I really wanted him to be good, and he wasn't.
I'll go for Zibby. Imagine if Zibby had taken an anti-pish vaccine. How many fucking derbies we would have won?
Imagine how many vaccines you would need to give him to make him not piss.
He's got an immune response to a fucking vaccine. Right, Neil. Aye. Neil Whelan said, if you score more than 4 goals in a game, should you be allowed to keep them in reserve for later in the season? You can use the rule 3 times in a season, and the decision must be made 5 minutes before kickoff, and cheerleaders announce it on the pitch.
That's oddly specific.
It is oddly specific. So if you're in a high-scoring game, should you be allowed to carry the goals over?
I kind of like the idea. You know how in rugby, if you score a certain amount of points, you get bonus points, or a certain number of tries, you get bonus points.
Do you?
Aye.
Rugby shit.
Fucking nonsense, eh?
No, it is. Aye. But I kind of like the idea that if you do, I think it would encourage more attacking football, like away goals. So aye, I'm all for it. But maybe not in the exact set of circumstances described.
I think it encouraged more attacking football.
Aye, could you imagine having goals in reserve? Like, say you were going for a tricky tie up at Pittodrie.
Aye.
Kind of like a handicap, like you don't need to beat them, you just need to be within, I don't know, so many goals. And then you can pull them at the hat, as it were.
I actually don't think that's that bad an idea, because you can when there's a game when you go 3 or 4 nothing up early doors, right? And I say that kind of doesn't happen very often with Hibs, right? But sometimes it has. And then you think, this could be any score, and then it generally ends up 3 or 4 nothing. It just finishes that way, and it's disappointing for everybody who thinks it's going to be a fucking riot. That would give you an incentive to just keep smashing the goals in.
Aye, definitely. Record scorelines in Scottish football.
Aye. Right, Neil, we're all about that idea. Ricky says, when or if you get Football Manager 2021, who are you selling first? Brian, who are you selling first?
I've never ever managed Hibs in Football Manager.
What?
You know what? I'm one of those guys that I even hate watching programs of films that are unrealistic. See, if you've got like zombies and stuff like that, I actually get really, really angry, and I just think, nah, I'm not fucking having that. I'm not watching it. So, going Hibs, and like after your first season, being able to splash you £2 million on a player, I'm not having that. It's nah, stop it. I want stringent budgets. I want moves vetoed at the last minute by Ron Gordon or whoever else. I want to lose out on 75% of my players to Aberdeen, and until they produce a game like that, I'm not managing Hibs. I always go Atletico Madrid, funnily enough. My first game.
There's a thread on it on Hibs.net, and so you get folk who go about how realistic it is, right? And there's discussion now about, actually one of the people commented, if you think the player's hair is too light, you need to match it, the in-match editor to change it. And I'm thinking, and no offence to the person, but who the fuck's changing players' hair in an editor, right? In a game of Football Manager. But there were complaints, I think, on last year's one or the one before, about how it wasn't realistic. And this was from somebody who had posted that they had won the league 4 times with Hibs in the Champions League and everything. You're not playing it to be realistic. Like, you're no better than the actual managers in real life that you can achieve these things. It's a fucking game. Aye. Anyway, Lee does the tactics. You know, Lee that's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
He does the tactics, the stats for the Hibs players. It's quite a cool thing to do. What about you, John? Who would you get rid of first?
Stevie Malin.
Stevie Malin.
I would sell him because I reckon he would be, I think he's surplus to requirements in my Hibs team. And I'd probably raise a bit of revenue to spend elsewhere.
Fair dues. Right, Raimundo Brown said, Crisps top 5 brands and flavours.
Oh, baby. Right. Here we go. And I'm going to go in order. Top of the tree, Royster's T-bone steak. Second, I'm going to go for Walker's Very Salted. Third, Beef Space Raiders. Fourth, Johnny's Onion Rings. Fifth, I am going to pull a packet of Frazzles out the bag.
I won the Frazzles. John?
I've got 3 out of 5, so if you've got 5 in mind, go for it.
All right. So that's our 20 minutes up. Right, we'll finish this question. I think we've got a couple more we can get through. Walker's Bacon Crisps, they're my favourite ones. Frazzles probably going to number 2. Except no Frazzles. The Tesco's own version of Frazzles are nicer. As controversial as that may sound, apparently the ones you get in Lidl are amazing as well. I think it was Lidl. Folk tweeted us about it. Ready salted. Struggling after that. Prawn cocktail. Quite like them. Then pretty much anything else after that.
So, in no particular order, spicy knickknacks, Mackey's tangy tomato, Worcester sauce, any brand, spicy rings. You can get them in Asda, but I don't know who it is that makes them, and flaming hot Monster Munch. But, and this is maybe one that we can bring up or talk about another time, there's definitely a difference between crisps and corn snacks.
Aye.
So, like flaming hot Monster Munch, and they're no crisps.
That's true. Right,
in my opinion.
Aye. This isn't the podcast for being pedantic, though, is it? Enough. We've actually
Brian's pretty fucking pedantic.
This is exactly the podcast for that.
I don't know who I am anymore.
Sorry, Brian. Right, I've still got a few more questions to get through. So here's a Hibs one from Mike. The last few results have seen a growing number of calls for Jack Ross to go. Why is there such a fractured support at our club? I'm not happy with the last few results. However, I personally think that Jack Ross is one of the best managers we've had, and we're still fourth. Why are folk upset, Brian?
Because we can't go out for a pint. And they just want to moan. Quite simply. I think he's one of the better managers we've had.
What about you, John? Oh, sorry, Brian, didn't realise you hadn't finished there. I was away just to move things along.
Happy to finish with that. I think he's one of our better managers. People are just bored. They can't go for a pint and they want to moan.
John?
I think it's because there's a distinct lack of Class A drugs available to fans at Easter Road.
Just go back to our ideas from last week.
Aye, let's all take some MDMA and feel a wee bit happier about life.
Right, okay. Ron Burgundy said, if you were to get plastic surgery, what would it be? He suggested a gastric band for Curvy Nisbet.
The fucking cheeky bastard! I've been losing weight. I'm down 5 pounds this week. What would I get done? Don't know. I'm kind of happy as I am.
Right.
Probably get Botox. I've got a 6-pack for a forehead.
Do you spend a lot of time frowning, Brian?
It's my default face, I think.
Have you got resting bitch face? Is that what you're telling me?
Aye, just you ever walk past Curry's and there's TVs with zombies and that on it, it's just
shaking your fist at them.
A dozen televisions in the shop window with Alien versus Predator and just me nose pressed against the window, frowning.
There's a thing about that. Do you know the show The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Right. So I never watched it, but they were doing it's probably a similar theme for you, Brian, and how you feel about it. They did a promo for it, and effectively what they did is they set up CCTV in a garage, and they waited for folk to go in late at night to pay for their petrol, and then had actors as zombies kind of flood the forecourt at the petrol station, and the folk lost their shit. You know, the folk that were going in to pay for their petrol. I'm thinking, surely there are zombies on the fucking real. Like, if somebody was looked like a zombie, and you're knowing Gorgie or Govan, you know it's not an actual fucking zombie. It's somebody dressed up as a zombie. But they were totally terrified by it. I thought, how does that happen? Are folk that, like, if folk were dressed up as a werewolf or something, would they similarly lose their shit? Fucking nonsense.
I would just be standing there shaking my head, going, I'm not having this. You need to move on. Aye,
what are you doing?
And then also wondering why I'm at a petrol station when I don't drive. To be fair.
Needing a shite, probably. Right, is oxtail soup actually made from oxtails? It was from Ron Burgundy. I think it used to be. I don't know if it still is.
If that's the case, I'm never having cockaliki ever again.
Well, that was the next question from Brassica. It Costas, is there cock and cockaliki? Ladige, would England swap the Falkland Islands for Maradona's handball against them being disallowed? That kicked off a little bit of an argument whether they were in any place to do that. And the last two questions came in were about Leanne Dempster, which were who replaces Leanne, and that was from Andrew McBee and Paul Mackay. So, any thoughts on who would replace Leanne? I think we should do it, by the way. I think there should be a concerted campaign to get us in there and just go wild.
I think I'd be able to shake the tree a little bit.
Drain the swamp.
I have no idea who would make a good CEO. For like who has that kind of knowledge to go and say, oh, we should get this person in. No, me. Anyway, I wouldn't care who we would replace him with.
Do you think there's a transfer market for like CEOs and CFOs and whatnot? Like just see if we can pick up a free agent somewhere.
Would be just like us, eh? See who's available, who'd been ditched for their last club where the last window was open. Aye. Well, I don't know. Sure, it'll be somebody decent anyway. Right, we'll talk more about Leanne Dempster when we do Longbangers next week. Anyway, we've got a bit of time to talk about it, but we're well over time for Shortbangers tonight, so we'll call a halt there. Thanks for sending in your questions, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Cheers.
On the Dry County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.